the team that I worked with there was, one of the best teams that I've ever worked with. We had a manager that made you want to come into work. And there was that whole knowledge transfer that didn't feel like you were wasting somebody's time. There were lots of mentors there, some within the IT space, others from the business side of the banking. And it was at that point that I learned that IT is more about relationships than writing code.
Good day. My name is Gaborone. Welcome to another podcast of Discover Talent with Vico.net. Today I am with Peter Mugisha, a director at Afrolynx. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me.
And how are you?
I'm okay. I'm having a lovely day. As it's coming to the end of the year, I'm kind of excited for the break that's...
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And how have things been at Afrolynx? You're a director, but director of what?
Well, my background is software development, and I started Afrolynx in 2009 after having been approached by a couple of friends to keep doing some IT work for them. It was an idea for me to set up a company through which I would provide those services. So 2009, I set it up, and it's been an interesting journey.
I can imagine.
It's a very interesting journey. But right now I feel that it's in a good place.
I mean, that's been a long time. 2024, established the business 2009.
Yes.
And it's still standing. First, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've weathered many storms.
Yes.
And typically, what sort of work do you do for your clients and so forth?
It's a boutique software development company. We're few, we're less than 10. And what we do is we've split it up in 3 areas of work. The majority of the work that we do is consulting work. As software developers, we usually get embedded in larger teams that are working on projects and they need some resources. We do that kind of work, software development, specifically in the Microsoft development stack. Then there are other turnkey projects that we get handed. There are a couple of clients who want to develop something from scratch, or to prove a concept. They want something to understand whether it will work in the market, and then they come to us and give us an idea, and we run with it. We give them an MVP a couple of months to see if they're then interested in going for a full project.
Okay.
And then there are certain ideas that we have in-house. We look at something in the market. We're interested in seeing how it works right now. Lots of things to do with AI, trying to incorporate that in areas like contact centers and so on. It also depends on a need that we might see at a client site and try to build something proactively. So those are the 3 different ways in which we work. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good time to be in the broadly IT space, right? In 2024, with a lot of technology advancements happening. I'm quite interested from your perspective, effectively as an employer, the skill sets that you're looking for in order to service internal demand, or even go into your assignments with clients. How would you describe that? Are we producing enough talent? Is there enough skills? One generally hears that there is a shortage of skills. What is your view and sentiment in that regard?
I think that's a very good question. There are skills. There are people that are living at tertiary institutions. The biggest challenge, I think, is how they're absorbed into the industry. A couple of years ago, I think around 2017, I embarked on internship programs, especially because I had an issue where I was trying to match job requirements at my client sites with actual people who didn't just look good on their CVs, but actually provided the skill set that was required.
Yes.
I had, well, you've talked about some storms to weather, and that was a major one for me, because I would extend an invitation to some of the guys who are in the market to say, come work on this project with us for the duration of the project, and I got disappointed a couple of times. So what I then chose to do was reach out to tertiary institutions so that I could get some talent in their final year and then nurture that talent
Yes.
on some kind of boot camp. It was very rough intentionally to see if they had what it took to become software developers.
Right.
So for the first 18 months, I would carry them on internal projects and then introduce them to clients to see if they could get embedded in those teams and work on those solutions. And so far, I mean, the first couple of years, it was hit and miss, but I've finally got a program that, I take them through, and because we're essentially a Microsoft house, I take them through those courses, but I also give them internal projects that will hone those skills.
Yeah.
But they are there. I believe that, the tertiary institutions are helping with getting that talent, but the opportunity for them to have an internship that will help them get employment, that I think is an area that is still quite great, something that we can focus on.
I mean, you raised something quite fundamental in the sense that my perception at times is that organizations in today's times might be biased towards what I call ready-made talent hitting the ground running.
That's right.
As opposed to balancing it with nurturing talent as well, right? And I don't think it's either or. It's striking a balance between those two. But I think more and more when one hears job seekers or those that are out there that are seeking new opportunities, it seems like more often than not, it's about, have you done this? Have you done this? Can you hit the ground running? We haven't got time to induct you, and so forth. And that's a bit sad. Is it a reflection of, is this a global phenomenon or even a continental thing, or it's more prevalent locally?
I think it's a global phenomenon. I think in South Africa, there are actually quite a number of programs that are pushing for internship, whereby there are institutions that are helping you to onboard interns and upskill them. So there's a lot of good work that is being done in South Africa. The other challenge that I've discovered is for a smaller company like mine, there are times we cannot take on, because you need people who will be there to show the interns the ropes. And based on the workload, you also do not want to accept interns and have nothing for them to do. They're just sitting around waiting for an opportunity. Yeah. I think it is definitely a global issue that has to be addressed. And I'm glad that there are lots of strides that South Africa has taken to address some of these issues.
And your IT journey, when did that start? Did you always know that you will end up in this field?
I knew. And that story goes back many years ago, into the mid-'80s for me, when I got my first computer. I should call it. It was more for gaming purposes, but it came through with a book on programming in BASIC. Okay. And that got my attention. Once I got tired of the games, I saw this book and I saw that, there's a bit of programming. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know the terminology at the time, but I was interested in writing code from that early age. But I mean, the teenage years come and you life happens and you get distracted. But later on in life, in my early 20s, I got the opportunity to work at an internet cafe back in the day when you needed somebody to help you open a Hotmail account and so on. Yeah, I'm giving away my age, but yeah, those days I started working at an internet cafe, and my elder brother had been studying his master's in IT, and when got back home, I saw this book on learning HTML.
Yeah.
So I got interested and I taught myself how to design websites. And my family saw that interest. And then they helped me get into University of Pretoria to study computer science. And it's for me, it's a hobby. It's work at the same time. It's just something that I've always been interested in. So I knew that I would end up here in IT. I didn't know how I was going to end up here, but I knew that it's something that I wanted to do.
But you knew this is the path.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's always fantastic to have the hobby and work, because you can have fun.
That's right.
I mean, in 2009, earlier you said you started Afrolynx.
Yes.
But I think you also started analyst programmer.
I was an analyst programmer at one of the banks. I don't know if I could say the name, but at that point, it was from around 2008 that I started working at the bank. And for me, it was really one of the places that helped me hone my skills. The team that I worked with there was, one of the best teams that I've ever worked with. We had a manager that made you want to come into work. And there was that whole knowledge transfer that didn't feel like you were wasting somebody's time. There were lots of mentors there, some within the IT space, others from the business side of the banking. And it was at that point that I learned that IT is more about relationships than writing code. And that's something that I've held with through the time. So I started out there as an analyst programmer till about 2012. At this point, yes, I had Afrolynx, but it was more like a side gig until about 2012. That time I was a development manager when I decided to leave the bank and to go full-time into consulting. And I quickly discovered that it's one thing to be a development manager at a bank. It's a totally different ballgame when you this unknown guy with a company that is just on paper. You've got no clients that you can talk of. But
No, absolutely. And you also have to be the lawyer, the accountant.
Exactly. Exactly. You can take a day's day.
And the IT, and a software programmer at night.
Yes, that is exactly what happened. It was a challenge that I was really interested in.
But I'm sure you'll be the first to also say that it prepared you, because when I look at your journey as a graphic designer, developer, a software engineer, development manager, all these building blocks, right? I'm sure when you look back now, you're like, I'm glad I went through these building blocks.
It's not fun when you are thinking about the next step, especially when you say goodbye to a 9-to-5 and a safety net of a salary at the end of the month. So it was a hard decision that I had to make at the end of 2012. But I felt that there was something out there. I remember speaking to one of the managers as I was leaving the bank and explaining that I don't know if I'm a good software developer or I've just learned this system so well and that I can do some of the things, in my sleep. So I don't know if I'm challenged enough. I felt so comfortable in that space. So I needed to step out of my comfort zone and start something new. So that's what drove me, and I learned to the hard way as soon as I left.
No, absolutely.
This is a special message to our viewers and subscribers. Thank you for joining us on this exciting journey. Just a few announcements. If you want to be featured on our podcast, please register on our platform, and the details are appearing on your screen now. Secondly, if you wish to sponsor us or advertise in our podcast series, you're more than welcome. You can contact us on details that are also appearing on your screen. And lastly, thank you once again for your valued support.
And in this world now where you're an entrepreneur, you've been in it for quite a while now. What exciting projects are you working on?
So for one of the clients, in the NGO space. We upgraded their contact center just around COVID. They had a contact center at the office and everybody had to come in.
Yeah.
So we had to move it to the cloud so that the counselors could work remotely. And then we are in the process of introducing WhatsApp counseling because they are targeting the youth, and the youth prefer to text rather than call. But over and above that, we're building, we're using OpenAI to see how we can prioritize calls based on what is being sent via text message, how we can analyze what we can see as a high-risk scenario and how to respond to that. And also, if somebody is just asking questions, they don't have to speak to a counselor. There are certain frequently asked questions that can be responded to. So that's something that's keeping us busy, one of the projects that's keeping us busy. And for another client, we're in the auditing space, IT auditing. So we're in the process of implementing, systems that have been quite cumbersome. I can't go into so much detail around that,
absolutely.
but that's one of the things that we're doing to make sure that people have the correct access at the right time. So yeah, those are the things. There are other areas we're working on in streamlining processes of applications to get access to services. I know I'm being a bit vague, but because of
NDAs. That is understandable because that's client projects, right?
Yes.
But I take it that at the center of this, it's all about efficiencies, being effective, high speed, quality, and all of that, right?
That's right.
And possibly being competitive, putting them in a better footing to be better competitive out there.
So one of the areas is time to market. One of the things that we look at, I'll give an example. There's an FET or TVET college that we do quite a bit of work for. And in some cases, we've had to be proactive, especially around this time, because you're getting ready for the next academic year and lots of enrollments are taking place. So they're marketing, and it's a very cutthroat business. There's quite a number there in the market. Some, you've got 2-3 in the same building. So you've got guys in a queue, and you do not know that some have been planted there to whisper to the guy in front of them that, oh, there's another college that you can go and register with. So when we got that information, we then opted to have WhatsApp applications, make it as simple as possible for the students to enroll. We are changing, we're moving us from the paper-based enrollments to TriTech. But the one thing that we have to be the first in the market with the product, and there are lots of integrations that take place. But those are the areas that Afrolynx focuses on. We enjoy integrating, with lots of large systems, and that's what's helping us with our clients. That's where we find that our clients want to improve their businesses in the integration space and optimization of their internal processes.
Okay. I mean, you've got, earlier we were talking about nurturing talent, and part of your pipeline comes from those, from learning institutions, right? Incidentally, learning institutions are also part of your client base, and you are in the field of IT. Do you have a bias towards specific fields within IT vis-a-vis the needs of the economy, right? So if you had to advise somebody now, especially now at this time of the year, right, who's enrolling in higher learning, and say, follow this stream, I think it will stand you in good stead or make you even better positioned, granted, there's still 3-4 years of study to do, but be that as it may, you'll be in a good footing. Does something stand out in terms of your bias, or maybe it's not even a bias, it is what it is?
I think there are lots of systems out there that focus on collection of data. I mean, you're always collecting some kind of data, and what I see as a trend now is that data has to be analyzed. You need to be able to make sense of that data in order to improve your processes as an organization. So for me, my bias, if I should use that term, would be towards data science. And to get there, you need to have really good mathematics, discrete mathematics specifically, as well as statistics as a nice foundation.
Yeah.
Well, there's certain things that don't change. I mean, I remember one of our first lectures in IT at University of Pretoria was the lecturer told us that it's all about getting the right information to the right person in the right format at the right time. And that could be a small business like a laundromat saying your clothes are ready for collection via WhatsApp message. It could be a Power BI report that is going to Exco for them to drill down and see, look at a heat map and know where the issues are. It could just be something that you send your project manager to show how far you are with the project and what the budget is. But it all comes down to those fundamentals. And for me, I think that if you understand those fundamentals, if you look at those principles and, carry on with your career knowing that at the end of the day, this is what my client needs. Once I identify with my client is I need to be able to provide this information in the correct format. Then you've got a good product for them. And if data science, that's something that they want to achieve.
Yeah. No, thanks for that. And we can't overemphasize the communication part of it, the storytelling part of it, the comprehension, right? Because that talks to needs analysis, right? Did I understand the problem correctly?
Yes.
Position it correctly and so forth. And I put it in that context because these obviously fall in what we call technical, fields, skill sets and so forth.
That's right.
But at times we could also misrepresent them because they need these other skill sets that tend to be called soft.
That's
but
right.
actually they're not that soft because there could be the difference between a sale and a non-sale, success and non-success, and so forth, right? So obviously they are learned over time, but we can't overemphasize them about the need for them.
That's right. Earlier I'd mentioned that when I was working for one of the banks, I realized that relationships mattered quite a bit. And that comes down to communication. There was a moment, I think 2008, when we were working on a debt rehabilitation system, and it didn't, it was a good credit. We actually ended up on carte blanche for not performing well as a financial institution in comparison to the others. Something that was supposed to take 5 business days would take quite a long time, maybe 30 business days. And as part of that development team, we were wondering, we thought we were writing good code, we were doing all the right things from a technical perspective. But the communication that we had with the end user wasn't great. And it was until there were certain changes that we made in the management that we then started working with those new management. And the guy who took over was really interested in IT and spoke to us and built quite a solid relationship with the development team. And, a couple of years later, we had moved from, we didn't go back to carte blanche, but there was an article written in the Daily Star at the time to show that he had turned the system around to being one of the best and most efficient systems that was dealing with debt rehabilitation. So it all came down to the relationship, not just the hard skills, not the coding skills, but the way in which he related with the end user.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of how you communicate with the clients.
Yeah. What are you most proud of looking back into your journey so far?
Well, the step to move away from the safety net is one of the things that I'm most proud of. To have started this organization and for it to still be here a couple of years later. I'm proud of that. But there are also certain projects that I worked on. And I think any software developer hates to see their work being shelved, not being implemented after all the hard work. So there are a couple of projects. One, but I just talked about the debt rehabilitation project.
Yeah.
There was one in Botswana where we upgraded the payment gateway. That was more regulatory. When the BASA changed their system, we had to also change it on behalf of the bank in that space. And where one of the larger clients that we're working for right now, we've been able to implement a tool that helps with the auditing of IT, and it's something that had been a thorn for them for a couple of years. So to see that project get implemented, it's something that I'm proud of. Yes, it is gratifying, not just for myself, but the team that I work with. For them, especially those that are still junior, that are just getting into the project, and to see that their solution is being used. That's
excellent. And in one word, how would your team describe you?
I hope you don't follow up with them. I would say resilient.
Absolutely. It's been good having you. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Mugisha. He is certainly resilient, a director at Afrolynx, established in 2009 and doing exciting IT solutions projects both here and in the continent. So if you're looking for IT services, look no further. Thank you for being with us. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Reid. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.